our Sophie joins. Wonderful. So last week we understood that one problem enters from the society. We cannot change the society. We have to find a solution within myself. I cannot change the world. I have to change my perception about the world. Second problem that we realize, the second level, the problem enters from our relations, family, professional life, personal life. So we start changing them. There is why you behave like this? We start training even our kids. And when they grow up, they say, Mom, you don't change, You are telling me that I should change. So that is also not a solution. So then we found that we are the problem. So solution lies within us. Solution lies within us. So but we have a contradiction. So that we should understand. The moment we have any problem in the world, we feel anxious, reaction, grief, suffering, we should ask one question to our mind. Do I love peace? Yes, then peace is my nature. Do I love happiness? Yes, then happiness is my nature. Do I love to survive? Then I love existence. That very existence is my nature. To extend that, that 80 years old in the hospital, going for a multiple surgery, what that guy loves? To survive. So I am existence. See that? We don't, the Eastern wisdom unfolds that secret behind whatever we are doing. So the moment we remember, the intellect takes over the mind, and the impact of that suffering goes down. So it's short of, we become a seeker and we are ready to move ahead. Another example the master gives, the sun is sun because of light. Fire is fire because of heat. I am because of peace and happiness. Can you ever say, I am because of suffering, because of pain, because of pleasure, because of hate? No, nobody can say that. I am because of my true nature, my peace and happiness. So once we keep that understanding in the intellect, the next question arises that this crazy mind says this world is full of suffering. I did lot of things. I was kind enough. I think that I was right, but I realize now this world causes the suffering. What it means. Buddha also said. So what Buddha meant, we do not know. Buddha says world is suffering, and I have a divorce and I say world is suffering. I don't get money, then I say world is suffering. That is not what the Buddha is saying. So first thing, what we say, the entire world consists of three groups. One is place, home, office, highways, and different location and places. Second is the time. Third is the object. That object includes people, gadgets, things that we have, we do not have. So you see that the world outside, three things: And that consists of my personal life, my professional life, my social life. What happens then? It is my desire that is related to the world outside. My mind has lot of desires, the wealth, pleasure, value, wealth, pleasure. So this, when this triggers in the mind, that causes attachment and detachment, likes and dislikes, pain and pleasure. That is the world I created for myself, and that world is suffering. Otherwise, the world is beautiful. John and our both the friends, John and Sophie, went on a vacation, Switzerland. Now, see, is there any attachment there? That is why they are happy, not because they went on vacation and they spent the money. Just see that. Can they own the place they were living in? Oh, they know 8 to 10 days. I'm a guest. Can I have that state of the mind? Then this world is always beautiful. Wherever you live, what place you own, what time you have in your life, what profession you choose. So I remove the word created by the attachment, likes and dislikes. Intellect must know this, must be clear. What happens? The mind, because of the desire, creates the word that belongs to me, is known as attachment, detachment, likes, dislikes. Well, I don't have an option to change the spouse frequently, but I have an option to change the car, change the house, change my food. Do you see that? The mind still wants to do it. Mind still wants to do it. But when the society puts a limitation, either I don't have enough money, so I cannot change my house. Limitation. So that limitation over the attachment causes lot of trouble in the mind. So there is a sense of confusion, absence of clarity in the intellect to live my life, absence of clarity in the intellect, and the mind is constantly running outside for desire fulfillment. Peace and happiness is not there in the world. Can you think what happens? There is a big gap between the knowledge in the intellect and behavior in the mind. The mind says, grab it, I'm attached. Intellect says, hold on. There is a big gap. That is why we say, I understand what you are saying, but I cannot do it. Because the mind, the world that we have created lives in the mind, knowledge lives in the intellect. One example, I know death is certain. Intellect. Mind says, I do not accept. Why? I am attached. See the clarity, the teachings of our master. So mind says, I do not accept. Intellect says it is certain. So there is a delusion, there is a sorrow, there is a suffering. Then add as many adjectives as possible. 13-year-old, she just became my student last week. I gave her lesson on weekend. Her mom wanted her to become a better human being. So, what prompted them to come to me is the death of the grandfather of that beautiful girl. Why my grandfather died? Now, see, you have to choose the intellect and the mind where they are swinging like a pendulum. She is very mindful and wise. I said, how many people die in the world every day? Have you heard about it? Oh, I heard about it, maybe in millions. Every day? Calculate how many people die every second. Ah, yes, few thousand. Yes, yes. And one of them was your grandfather. You see, one side intellect, other side mind is struggling. Why didn't you become sad when every second millions of people, thousands of people die? And why you are sad? Let us examine. Is the death of your grandfather and the death of those millions of people are different? Death is death. Surely, death is death. It is not different. It is same. So now tell me why you are sad about the death of a person you labored as grandfather and not sad with the millions of people they die every day where there is no label. Do you see that? And what is that? Label is good because we have to give label to live. Charlie is a label, Mead is a label, Girish is a label, Sophie is a label, Michelle is a label. For a matter of convenience. But it is not a matter of attachment. From that label, remove the attachment, you are free. I should perform all the duties and responsibilities towards my grandfather, towards my brother, towards my spouse, towards my students, wherever I find. See that? That is the gap between the knowledge and the behavior. If you keep that, it will keep your mind in confusion. Nobody can bring an end to the suffering. Finish. So, what happens now? Why we don't succeed in meditation in one session? Because object of meditation is the world outside. Is my label. Object of meditation is not the real self. Do I love peace? Yes, I love peace. Peace is my essential nature. Yes. So let me meditate on peace. If the object of meditation is the world outside, no one can succeed. Succeed means two things: end of suffering forever and awakening to permanent peace. We get success every time we share our experiences. It's a kind of a progress. But ultimate success is that. So after understanding that, the next question arises that what should I do? I have understood it. Confusion is there. So I should remove the confusion. What is the opposite of confusion? Clarity, understanding. What from where the clarity comes? Learning the principles of Eastern wisdom. What is that known as? I made it clear. Inquiry. Simple inquiry, do you remember? And the self inquiry. Simple inquiry, I don't know anything about the word. I don't know about Charlie, so Mead introduces. So I did not have a prior knowledge about Charlie. You introduced me, so I know it. This is simple inquiry. That is what the science does. But the science of real self says that self inquiry has to be done with the discernment. Why? There is a lot of confusion. I claim I give a label to you as a spouse, and then I say you belong to me. Because of attachment, I have to remove that confusion. So that is why we need a discernment. So that when you practice discernment in the intellect, the mind starts melting away. It starts leaving the attachment and detachment. What do you mean? Should I not love my spouse? Love is different from attachment. Attachment means I have given a stamp of happiness on a dollar note. You are my honey, hence you have to do so many things for me. This is attachment. I love you, hence I'm available for you 24 by 7. Love is self giving, attachment is taking because I expect. Why I expect? Because I have already given an added value to that person or a thing or a gadget or anything. So who knows this? Who practices discernment? So when I understand that, then the dispassion comes, and that dispassion starts changing the mind. Why to change the mind? Do you still remember? The mind has created the world of its own to live in. That is the cause of suffering. I just covered. I created my own world of people, of things, of wealth. Are you understanding? So I have to shake off. Buddha says that world is suffering, otherwise the world is beautiful. Is US not beautiful? Only Switzerland is beautiful. Is India not beautiful from where I came? Does the mountain in India and the Switzerland, they are different? They say that I'm different from you? Because I give an added value that created a world of me. I give a label that causes the attachment. I have to drop it. How? By discernment. So here the master takes another step, and our masters make it clear. Think about matter and consciousness. When you sit alone, matter is inert. What is inert cannot know itself and does not know others. Does the Switzerland mountain says, welcome John and Sophie? Just giving an example. They have gone for good. I like it. Whatever we do. I'm not saying that. Try to understand, grasp the right meaning. But creating an attachment of like and dislike to my house does not welcome me, but I'm living every day. So matter includes house, car, gadgets, wealth. We know they are all matter. But for we do not know clearly body, breath, mind, intellect, ego are also matter. And we are none of them. That confusion will be removed by the by the discernment. We need discernment. We need dispassion, means unattachment. So what we get, car belongs to me, but I do not belong to the car. That is why I change my car does not change me. Let's have a clarity. So when the intellect lives with that clarity, it is a sign of wisdom, it is a sign of discernment, and then you are not attached to any car. I made it a point that I should not own a car, means that I should not buy a car. I lease a car for 3 years. Every 3 years I change. So I know 100% this car does not belong to me. I have to use this car for every 3 years. There are other benefits of that. I need not to pay for service. I make it sure that entire service is included for 3 years. So I need not to go to the service station to get my car repaired and serviced. One thing, one aspect. So that confusion is known as attachment, delusion. That causes the suffering in my life. Now look at the matter and the consciousness we were talking about. When I'm talking, I'm conscious. You're listening, you are conscious. You're conscious. So when I say I'm conscious, the consciousness is there. So I'm a conscious entity. So that consciousness is the real self. That is what we are saying. I am consciousness minus body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, thoughts, attachment, detachment, delusion. Now see, after we understand this part, now why I have understood it, I am clear, concept is clear, principle is clear, but still this knowledge does not remain the intellect all the time. The master says, those who have a steady intellect, the knowledge remains steady. Those who do not have a steady intellect, not steady, the word you understand. So those whose intellect is not steady, they are swayed by the attachment, likes and dislikes coming from the mind. Steady intellect. So it means the answer is how to make this intellect steady. That keeps this knowledge all the time. Knowledge can remain all the time. You never forget your name. You wake up in the morning, you never forget your gender. Knowledge remains all the time. See that? Once married, you never forget that you are not married. A lot of things, whether we think or we do not think. So by understanding these principles, the time should come. I do not think, but I know. That is steady intellect. That is a steady intellect. Now that intellect remains steady in that knowledge, and that is what is applied wisdom. That is what the Eastern wisdom is. So our question comes, how to make this intellect steady? It is because of the absence of steadiness of the intellect The final stage of meditation does not come to me. But if has to be steady, where the intellect has to be steady, it has to be steady in the real self. And have you seen in meditation? Oh, lot of changes in the body, lot of change visions and colors, but it is not steady on the real self. In the beginning, it is okay. So that is why the master talks about the steadiness of the intellect. Steadiness of the. Let us take one more point then before we go for meditation. So during the practice of meditation, our awareness remains on the real self, our consciousness, steadiness of the intellect. When you are steady in the intellect, it is known as sthita prajna, Sanskrit word. Prajna means knowledge. Sthita means steady. So, what is the steadiness of the intellect? The intellect is steady in the knowledge of the real self. We have already understood that if the intellect remains steady with the attachment likes and dislikes, it will cause suffering. That is lacking. So, when that is lacking, that is because of so many reasons that we will pick up next week. Let us start our practice of meditation.